right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inner Peace Sunday. Once again, a week come to practice meditation together at the same time, same place. However, today is quite little different than the normally one that we do, just like the other week that we did. The thing was that we talk about the fruits of monkhood that I did not finish and give the background stories as I promised to give that background story on this week. That's therefore we will continue from there and make a conclusion out of that. However, the thing is, if you are looking for just time to meditate only, maybe come a little bit later after this, about I would say about after 8:30, you will find, because it will be a little bit long session to give yourself a little bit more detail of this, because it's quite interesting and important for those who are looking for a place to learn. And yes, our Inner Peace Sunday, well, I have to change the logo a little bit. Our Inner Peace Sunday is quite different than the normal one, because Inner Peace Nighttime is just nighttime meditation, but Inner Peace Sunday sharing the wisdom how meditation can relate and improve the quality of one's mind in daily life. And that is the difference. That's therefore the wisdom that I like to share to you today is the first of monkhood, which is going to be part 2, the conclusion part. Before we get to that part, and while we're waiting for everyone, why allow me to just sharing greetings those who are watching at the moment. Hello, dear. Good to see you. Thank you from Wilshire. All right. Mr. Martin, are you still there? Yumi, thank you for joining. You are the first one as always. All right. So while we are waiting, let's go to our topic of the night then. But for those who just come later, well, you can watch the rerun on YouTube or rewind it back after the live is over. Okay. All right. Let's begin to the conclusion part of the first of monkhood. Here's some correction. Last time, make a little bit of misspelling. Anyway, first of all, allow me to do my stuff first before we get to that part, as always. For those of you who have not liked or follow my page yet, I suggest you do, so that way if you are like and interested to join us once again to get notification, this is the good deal. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share, follow on our page, as well as our YouTube channel. If you like to meditate with us, don't forget to subscribe, so that way you can come back at any time at your own convenience. Alright, and this is my currently online schedule as always. Have to notify because sometimes people forget. Sunday at this time, I start a little bit early because there are technical problem with the Photoshop that I make the cover for tonight session. It's just that, well, the hard disk full, therefore cannot do anything, so I have to do another way approach for that. Now it's all fixed and done. That's why it cost me to come this late. Monday and Wednesday at 8:30, a little bit later, but at the same time around this time. Okay. However, on Saturday this month, on September, I will be scheduled to be giving session on September 28th. But along the way, as upcoming this Saturday, there will be variety of teaching, including our abbot, to give the session out on this session on Zoom only, of course. And the Zoom ID is 814-853-30672 and the passcode is 072. All right, let's go to our tip of the night then. Topic of the night then. Let me review our first from those who are wondering what's going on here. The first of monkhoods come from the historical background and during the time of the Buddha, and it came from this book that I read, taught by our wise abbot, the Dharma Master. It talk about the king of Magoda. The king, this kingdom of Magoda, it used to be like, I would say, from my understanding, from the historical background in India at the time of the Buddha, there were 2 big kingdoms, and Magoda is one of them. And there are many small kingdoms too, but Magoda is one of the major ones. Okay, this king, his name was Ajatasattu, who have committed a fratricide. In other words, he murdered his own father in order to take over the throne. But he wasn't known by willingly or by his own idea. He was convinced by the monk, a monk who was a disciple of the Buddha. And since he has done such a mistake, he could not sleep. Every night, he afraid of going to sleep. He, whenever he closed his eye, the fact that he murdered his own father, causing him unable to sleep. Thus, every day he always thinking of his deed. Whenever he closed his eye, when it's like that, it's become, not healthy, isn't it? And that he's seeking the guidance from many teachers, the spiritual teachers at the time. And that has come the story of Samanapala Sutta, the fruit of monkhood discourse that taught by the Buddha. This was given at the place called Ambavana, or the mango grove, owned by Jivaka Kaumarabhaja, who is the royal physician of the king. Its story goes that every night he could not sleep, and it's also the traditions of the people at the time. When it's evening or when it's full moon, they usually go seeking guidance and learn from the spiritual teachers that could lift and clear and help them get rid of their suffering with their life. And as it is, he also, the king Ajatasattu, also felt the need to search for the holy man. And as such, who could, not who could, I mistype again, who could give him such advice to relieve him from his suffering that he could not sleep. So he asked all of his loyal consultant, as they were in the hall, he said something like this in that night. Which holy master should I go to hear the teaching of tonight? Who will help lighten my heavy heart? When he asked like this from one by one, because they came from different background, different place, so they have different beliefs, and the king doesn't forcing them to believe the way he believed neither, because it's a freedom of choice, of course. Thus, he asked the first one, and one of them who practiced different other than Buddhism, they suggest to go meet his master. The king was silent. Then he asked another. He keeps silent again until there are no more people to ask. Then he looking at his physician, Jivaka. Then he said, Jivaka, my friend, why don't you suggest me something? What should I do or who should I go? How about go see the Buddha, who is self-enlightened? And he praised how the Buddha was. But King Ajatasattu, remember, if you recall, I mentioned earlier that he murdered his father because he was convinced by a monk who was the disciple of the Buddha. So he feel that I murder my own father, who is also the disciple of the Buddha. He afraid that the Buddha would not welcome him. He afraid that the guilt of committing someone who is also a close friend of the Buddha. But then finally he gave the sign, well, let's go see the Buddha then. But understand on the background at the time, at the night, the city, when it's at night, they close the gate to protect from animals and people who are coming at night to attack the city. So going at night is very dangerous for the king. That's when he ordered, let's go see the Buddha who live outside the temple in the mango grove. Thus, it's very risky. And also, he needs some protection. Thus, he bring all his soldier and troop, make it marching, and he ordered all the people in town to prepare the way for him. So that's when he traveling out. They all come to greet him and send him off. That's, as you can see, he doesn't go alone or in silent or in quiet. He go with a big parade, just like you marching out of the city, going into war or something like that. But this just to go see the Buddha. He has a guard of 500 men and 500 ladies who will be his protection and go giving him some comfort feeling. I would say more than 1,000 travel with him at night, that night. If you understand, if you could imagine the picture, like I mentioned, I was explaining. Up on reaching the mango grove, this is when he begin to be scared and having doubt because he, murdered his own father. He afraid that someone gonna come to do that for him too because his father was loved by many. And he afraid that his best friend, his friend Jiwaka, would also betray him. When he went nearly reaching where the Buddha was reside, it was so quiet at night. There only the visible moonlight that keep him the way. There is so silent, no sound of breathing or coughing. First time he looking at his friend Jiwaka. Are you sure? You are not tricking me to come here and assassinate me, my friend Jiwaka? Said, no, my lord. He walking a little bit further, then he looked at again. It was so silent, Jiwaka. Are you sure you not try to murder me? No, my lord, I am not. For the third time when he reached, I don't see anyone. It was so silent. Are you sure the Buddha and his 1,250 disciples are in this forest? Yes, and which one, where is he? Oh, he is at the center, sitting against the pillar at the center. That is where the Buddha. Ah, now I see him, visible by the moonlight. He walked in there. He was so, here is so peaceful and quiet. Only if my son is peaceful and loving just like this. He uttering this word. Why? Because in his heart, he doesn't want his son to commit the same thing as he did to his own father. So he wished his son to be as peaceful just like that. But as it go along, we know the history that, yes, for 7 generations, this family, royal family, murdering their own father for just 7 generations in order to take over the throne until it was overthrown at the later time. But at this time, we not talk about that. Just mention it for you for your background story. Anyway, now as King Ajatasattu greeting the Buddha, and the Buddha know what's in his majesty mind, so he greet with warm welcome. Finally, after they get to know, get acquainted a little bit of talk, King Ajatasattu said, may I allow to ask you a question that's in my mind? Could you lift me of my heavy heart at the moment? Yes, your majesty. What is it that is in your mind? Then the king uttered these questions. Here, as he said, the general public use their knowledge and ability to earn their living and support themselves, their family and their parents. The rest of their wealth they offer in support the ordained community for benefit in this lifetime and the next. As for becoming a monk, what is benefit in this lifetime? Well, for just come like this, why ask something like this? You should ask, how are you? what is going on currently? How have you been? Talking like this. But this is the thing that's in his mind. Why is it like this? Understand him first that who tricked him to murder his own father was the monk. And he himself respect the monk dearly, even to convince do whatever the monk say. But when doing such a deed, he don't feel happy about it. And he was having this heavy heart that why such a monk make him do that? Why would a person want to become a monk if it is not good? He would murder every monk because he doesn't want it to be like this. He doesn't want his people to feel guilty just like he did. This is what King Ajatasattu has in his mind and feeling guilty about it. But of course, he probably not gonna murder all the monks, but he doesn't want that kind of people to be in his kingdom, of course, because he's a king, right, everyone? You don't want any kind of a terrorist or those kind of people disguised as a priest to be living in the kingdom, something like that. That's all he asking. He felt guilty. That's why he could not sleep neither. Understand him, we will see now why he asked such a thing. So the Buddha, before he answered, he said this, Your Majesty, before you come and ask me these questions, has you ever asked anyone these questions before? Yes, I did. If it wasn't too much trouble. Could you explain what are their answer? Maybe I can clarify and help you with this more. Excuse me. All right. So the king said, well, I went to meet all the 6 teachers in the past before I came. Now you can see here, he want answer. So he been looking for it and asked many famous teacher at the time. And at the time of the Buddha, there are 6 of them who are very famous. Famous to the point that a lot of followers come to learn. And of course, their view of teachings, the way they practice, also entirely opposite to or different than Buddhism too. So what are they? I try to fill all information as I can. So sometimes there are letters more than pictures. So hope you don't mind because I don't want to miss the detail. Sometimes there will be typo. So hope you forget on that part. Forgive, of course. All right, let's go to the first one. The first one that King Ajatasattu went to ask was Purana Kassapa. Okay, he was, of course, born in a Brahmin caste, but in some reference of the biography, it's also mentioned that the Brahmin normally not become a servant. They are rich or capable person. They normally don't become a servant. So sometimes this could be misinformation or not correct. But anyway, as it's shown in here, Purana Kassapa, he was a child born in a Brahmin caste, and he got this name because in that household there were 99 servants, and including himself, they become making a 100 servant. Thus, they call him Purana, which means complete. And then one day, while he tried to run away from this life of servant, you know, he was robbed by a robber, stealing his clothes. You may wonder why such people stealing the cloth? Because cloth material at the time was very expensive. Thus, is considered as something very valuable. Therefore, the more fine material of the cloth, the higher value of the person could gain by selling them. So only people with money or with a wealthy status have such cloth. And Purana Kassapa was running away from his master because he didn't want to work like that anymore. And he was robbed. Thus, he tried to run away to become naked. And he kept running until he reached one village. Why he's still naked. And the villagers saw him. Whoa, this must be some kind of enlightened monk. Because he lives so simply. And he looks holy. Thus they rewarded him by giving him food, shelters, and supporting him. And from that time on, he thought that, living like this is not bad. So he never wear that coat from then on. And as he became practicing, he taught his disciple the way that he discovered himself. Thus, he believed something that action does not have consequence, that easy for people to digest. And that's when the king asked Purana Kassapa about the fruit of monkhood. Here is the answer that he given to the king. There is no such thing as merit or demerit. No matter how heinous one's action, killing, stealing, committing adultery, or lying, or no matter how good your actions of generosity, self-discipline, or meditation could be, it doesn't make any difference. There is no difference in your quality of life. In other words, whatever you do is not gonna be affect your life, because all action has no consequence. You can do all the bad things that you like. You can do all the good things you like. But remember, it's not gonna make it any change. This is belief. If you're asking like this, is it good, isn't it? Oh yeah, then I can do whatever I want. Then there will be no rule, no law, isn't it? Anyway, this is what he taught to his disciple. And the king, after received that kind of answer, he was very displeased, but he doesn't want to disrespect the monk, or Purana Kassapa. So he left in silence without return. You could say that he know that the king, Purana Kassapa know that the king murdered his own father. So he want to gain the favor by answer such a way that ease the king pain, so that the king could give him favor and support his religious. This is one of the way that you could look. All right. So Purana Kassapa thought that all action has no consequence, which is quite different than the everyone, than the teaching of the Buddha that every action has consequence, whether they are good or bad, isn't it? And so next he went to meet another teachers, which on the next day, of course, it's a little bit long, but quite interesting way. The name was Makkali Gosala. Makkalis live in the village called Saravana near the city of Savatthi, and Gosala, that his name means born in a cow shed. He was, of course, in the Brahmin as well. Okay. In his youth, he served Sauhon, quite similar to Purana Kassapa. One day, though, but it's a different cause. Purana Kassapa just tried to run away from his master, don't want to be a servant anymore. But Makkali, while he was working as a servant as well, he carried a jar of oil, quite expensive, but he walked on the muddy ground because the pad is quite wet. So his master managed, kind of like warning him, hey, watch out. Otherwise, you're going to slip and make it fall. Make the oil slip and pour out all the oil. But just after he finished that word, he slipped and fall. He afraid that his mother gonna punish him, so he ran away. But his mother caught his clothes, so he could not run, but he, left all the clothes and ran away as fast as he can. As he ran away, his master doesn't bother to catch him anymore. But of course, he ran away naked until he reached some village. And the villagers begin to saw him as, oh, enlightened monk again. Thus they respecting him and supporting him. That's from that day on, he begin to, become undressed, living like an ascetic or monk. And thus practice something like that. But this practice is quite different than Purana Kassapa because he accept the food, but not if while he was eating there was animal or dogs or cats nearby, or if there is a fly or there are flies around it, he would not eat it, something like that. Why? Because if he eat while the dog saw him eat, it would make the dog unhappy and jealous. He don't want the dog to feel like that, so he making the rule like that. Because he believed that it deprive others of their happiness. That's they refrain from eating fish meat and not just consume alcohol or intoxicant. That sometimes make himself healthy. And his teaching was deny the existence of cause and effect, similar to Purana Kassapa, but the way they practice is quite different. However, what did the answer that Makkali gave to the king though? Well, we'll get the time. Oh, we're a little bit late today. Hope you don't mind. So I just try to finish this. But if you have to go, don't worry. You can come back at any time. Or, I hope you enjoy it. If you do like it, don't forget to like so I know that you are still there with me. Alright, so what is his answer though? He said to the king that all beings in the world are born and reborn at random. After being born and reborn for a long enough time, they will become pure on their own accord. Thus, there is no need to make any specific effort in order to become pure. This is the difference than Purana Kassapa, the first teacher that the king went. The first teacher denied all the actions. But this one, it said that if you want to be pure, you want to be free from your guilt, all action that you do doesn't have any effect neither. You just live your life as you are, and eventually you will become pure and enter happiness by yourself. This is the core of his teaching, which also not quite, entirely opposite to the teaching in Buddhism, or that the Buddha taught that every action has consequence. In order for one to become pure, one must perform good deeds by themselves until it's enough that it will become purified. And so, if you look at it again, it's just like Makali Kosala tried to win the favor of the king too by to please the king that, oh, don't worry about murdering your own father. You'll be fine because as you're living your life, you become pure by itself as over time. Just like that, everyone. You follow me, don't forget to like, leave some comments. I know you're still there, understand what I'm saying. Sometimes talking to myself alone, I'm not sure you are still wondering. Or you have anything that could be disturbed. Alright, next. The third one that King Ajasattu went to ask was Achita Kesa Kambala. This one is quite extreme and very, very violent one too. He was a renowned figure shortly before the time of the Buddha. He got his name Kesa Kambala because he wore a garment that used human hair sealed together as a cloth. It's smelly and oily and unattractive, but it symbolized of his extreme materialistic view, which were even more radical than other contemporary other sects, because his teaching strongly opposed to the doctrine of the other sects, including Buddhism, that it honed the belief in annihilation after death. He taught that once the body disintegrated, both the ignorance and the wise are completely annihilated with no possibility of rebirth. In other words, after one dies, excuse me. In other words, after one passes away, everything becomes void and totally gone. No more rebirth. That's whatever you do, it's not gonna make any difference. And also, everything that comes into one life, it doesn't give any consequence neither. Thus, if you do, that's the end. These are the difference than the other two that mentioned like Puranakasapa or Makali Kosala. Because Makali Kosala and Puranakasapa, they believe that once one die, they must continue until they become purified. But this one, after you die, that's it, no more. Whatever you do, nothing. Don't worry, do evil, do good, doesn't really matter. This is extremely opposite to Buddhism. As he mentioned, answer this to the king on his doctrine. Evil or virtuous action have no effect. This world and the next do not exist. In other words, these are completely wrong view against Buddhism, the opposite. Mother and father have done us no favor. Spontaneous birth or angels is non-existent. In other words, he denied the existence of heaven and hell. It is impossible for anyone to become enlightened or teach others to become enlightened. Death is the end of the story. In other words, if you die, that's it, no more. All that is left is bone and ashes. There is no rebirth. It is one liar to claim generosity is beneficial to the giver. In other words, if you do good deeds, like practice of generosity, practice of meditation, practice of self-discipline or morality, no effect. These are extremely false views in Buddhism. The king himself thought, this is just my own opinion, okay? If I do evil doesn't have any effect, how come I feel so guilty and I cannot sleep? So he doesn't say anything, doesn't disrespect Achita Kesa Kambala, though he's standing up and left in silence without saying anything. Alright? However, still not satisfied with his answer. He looking for more answer, so he went to the fourth one. This one is Pakuda Kachayana. Pakuda. He was also born in the Brahmin family. As you can see here, this is the caste system in the India at the time. Brahmin is like above status of all, even the king himself. And at young age, so this one had a little bit better background than the other three. He has deep interest in religion. As he grew older, he renounced the world and seeks spiritual revelation. He became a monk, and he believed that he had attained enlightenment. Thus, he established himself as a teacher, and many people began to follow and practice with under his guidance. Here is what he believed and practiced, though. He prohibited the use of cold water because he believed that water is alive. So even for cleaning, must be warm water, must be clean it first. And he refused to use cold water, as I mentioned. So he opted to use the hot water, or the rice water. And walking through the river or wading through puddles on the road would break his precept. In other words, if he found a road or the path that is filled with water, try to cross it is very disrespect the water. Thus, if he sometime break this precept or make himself offense such the rule that he made up, he would build a stupa out of the sand, so that and make himself reaffirm, making a commitment he would try not to repeat it again. Thus, he would continue on his way further. Then this is how one do practice, and his practice is his doctrine is fall under the category of Niyatiwada, which means a belief that deny causality, which quite similar to Makkhali Kosala, the second one, that everything that you do has no consequence, but as you live yourself further, you become purified by yourself. But his one has water mixing it in his practice. So, what did he answer to King Ajatasattu? And a question when he asked, "What is the benefit of becoming a monk?" He replied that our life consists of 7 types of aggregates: earth, water, fire, air, happiness, suffering, and life force. Killing someone is no more than piercing your weapon between the spaces between the various elements. In other words, he tried to favor the king by what you do is really nothing, because our life it consists of these earth, water, fire, air, happiness, and suffering, and life force. So if someone kill each other, hurt, it's just like using a knife cutting to an empty space and void. There's nothing wrong with it. So if you do it, all you have to do is, wait until you die, and you will be purified as you reborn again. All of this doesn't have any consequence. All your action is given, like it's nothing negative or positive. You just live your life. That's it how it is. So as become end, it just become void. And when rebirth again, you just gonna be continue like this. And this is his belief, Pakuda. If you're looking at it, it's similar to the other 3 that mentioned, because he tried to win the favor for the king that when you kill your father, nothing wrong. You're not gonna be punished or anything, because all your action is an empty, just like you use a knife to pierce through an empty space. The king still could not lift his feeling of guilt, and he don't like the question, but he still respect the Pakuda. Thus he left in silence. Is it long for you? Hope you enjoy. If you like it, don't forget like too. I know you're still there. All right, next. This one is Sanjaya Belatiputta. This one, he was quite famous even before the time of the Buddha. And one of Buddha's disciples, he used to be called Upatissa and Kolita. And after he left Sanjaya, they become the chief disciple of the Buddha right and left hand. Sanjaya, his answer to the king was not very smart. Even the king mentioned that he is the most stupidest of all. He is the stupidest of all the teacher that he met. And upon Sanjaya losing his disciple, he was covered in blood, and eventually he passed away. I assuming he passed away after he met King Ajatasattu. So that's quite many years. The strange thing about this is that when Korita and Upatissa asked Master, the Buddha, he is wise, he can teach us free from suffering. Then Sanjaya said in his anger, in this world, which is more, the stupid people or smart people? both of them said, the stupid people. Then I rather stay with the stupid people. You go with the wise one. Then they all left. And he was covered in blood with that answer that he given. His teaching to his disciple classified as Amaravika, Amaravike Padavada. Sorry, in Pali words, it's quite difficult to pronounce for me, but in Thai it's easier. But when I pronounce it, it may not be the same. But anyway, a doctrine characterized by evasiveness and indecision. It's kind of like it condemned as a doctrine of the blind because it doesn't have any truth much. It's leading oneself to the other truth. Kind of like if you view like this, they will try to evade the answer because they don't really know what it is. Kind of like if you believe in this, he would not say it would be right or it would be wrong. He just try to find a way. It's evasive or the answer. Kind of like you ask for ketchup and you get lemon, something like that. And this is what is similar to Sanjaya's teaching. So, as it is, when he answered, he could not give such definite answer to the king, what is the fruit of the monkhood? And instead, he gave a dizzy rendition of his own beliefs. The king was very angry, but he tried to remain composed and he left in silence. That's how it is. I couldn't even get out the answer. That's how it is. So, to the last one. This one is quite very famous too. Famous to the point that it still exists until now. Nikanta Nataputta. This one, he is also, they believe in some reference background in history, they believe that this is the same person as Mahavira, Nikanta. Okay, he is considered as the 24th head of Jainism, but he taught only for 30 years and then he passed away. His teachings or belief are quite similar to Buddhism, but the way they practice is totally opposite. Buddhism practice, in order for one to attain enlightenment and free from suffering, one must practice the middle way. But here is the opposite way. That is, practice the self-mortification to the extreme. Practice kind of like you don't sit on a common seat, you sit on a needle seat, something like that. Try to get enlightenment, because kind of like if you want to get an orange juice, you can just go buy a shop and get the box of a glass of juice. You have to squeeze it out in order to get a juice. Same thing. They believe that if you want to become free from suffering, you have to squeeze your body, destroy your body in order to gain it. Thus, according to Jainism, those who practice well are unaffected by anything that occurs through the body, speech, and mind. And Jainism teach that the three jewels, right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct, are what meet them to moksha, which is free from suffering. And of course, the concept of a god is considered meaningless in Jainism. A god cannot bring about happiness or suffering. Happiness and suffering result from karma, and prayer is seen as useless and meaningless. This is has similar pattern to Buddhism, but the practice is different. This is the different one. So what is the answer that Nikanta gave to the king? He said here, the purity of people depends on flood. Jain monk must have 4 types of restraint, called samvara. Restraint of water consists of water, getting rid of water, and being sprinkled of water. Thus, according to Nikanta, restraint of water can purify you of all defilements. In other words, you don't drink water, you don't take a shower, you don't get any cell, getting rid of the water in your body, thing like that. This is starving of food, starving of water. Get up this. That's why, like squeezing your body out of it, you become purified. Just like that. The king was like, whoa, if it's like this, how come I could not free myself? And so he left. Thus, the Buddha explained further that in order to gain the benefit of become a monk, allow me to just 5 more minutes to give you more detail, and it will be, then we'll meditate, okay? that there are three levels for one to practice. If you can the benefit practice in Buddhism, practice of become a monk, you get the benefit of this. The first elementary level, it would elevate one's former status, become one worthy of respect. The Buddha asks like this: supposedly, my king, if you have a servant or a slave, and he taking care of you so well, and then one day he ordained himself as a monk. In this case, will you still pulling him out of monkhood, or treating him just like you treating me, the Buddha, something similar to this? And the king said, "Oh no, no, no! I'm not gonna disrobe him. Instead, I must feed him, give him a place and cloth, give him shelter, so that way he can practice and continue to do the good person. Likewise, my king, the benefit of become a monk, one must become worthy of respect, and this will be elevating one's status. Because in India at the time they have four caste system, as you can see in this diagram that I mentioned earlier, that the Brahmin caste or priestly or academic class are the highest one in the chain. Kshatriya is the ruler, warrior, and administrator, while Vashya, I hope I pronounced correctly, are the tradesmen or merchant, while Shudras are the laborers. Outcasts are Dalits, street killer, or menial tasks. These are the caste. But when, no matter what order they are, but they become the monk, all of these must respect the monk. That's how it is. But before, if the Brahmin come, the king has to pay respect and give respect to the Brahmin. Something like that. Because they are priests and above status than they in the caste system. But all, when you become a monk, you gain respect from all these castes. And there are the trick though, because in order to gain respect, it doesn't come free. It has to have this qualification in order for one to become worthy of that. That is, he must possess the right view, have the right, correct understanding of life and the world. What do you mean and the world? I forgot, I typo this again, typing too fast. What is meant in here is that you understand that every action has consequence, and father and mother we are having gratitude. They are having gratitude to us, so we must pay them back. And heaven and hell does exist, and there are monks who are able to purify themselves and teach others so they can follow. These kind of things are the right view that mentioned in Buddhism. Maybe if we have another time, we can talk about that. Anyway, number 2, understand the purpose of being a monk. Number 3, he must restrain himself in body, speech, and mind. In other words, he must not do bad deeds that could affect his body, speech, and mind. And he must lead a life of contentment and simplicity, not with wishing for more and more. That life is not contentment anymore, and suffering would follow. And 5 is maintain a peaceful life, that is practice meditation and use it in a way of living, so that way they would find themselves free from suffering, not create more. These are the qualification of worthy of respect. So when the king understands this on this elementary level, oh, that's why the monk that I found was a false monk. He himself break all against this qualification. That's unlucky or unfortunate for me. Met such a person who is my teacher. That's leading me to kill my own father. Understand this, he begin to cry. And further, the Buddha also explained a little bit on, not a little bit in detail, but I just want to go a little bit because our time is almost over. The intermediate level is attaining of meditation state at different levels, such as the first to fourth absorption, all of which make the mind more stable and joyful. Understand on this path a little bit is that these intermediate fruits of monkhood, if you practice, in other words, the first one is practice both body, speech, and mind, but the fruit in intermediate and higher level that's going to be mentioned after this are involved with meditation only. So in other words, if one want to gain higher fruit of monkhood, one must practice meditation, not just read the book or go out and preach and teach people. He must also practice meditation. And what he gonna gain first from this practice is he will have the absence of 5 hindrances. If you practice meditation or learn from other kind of teachers, you will know that hindrances are the obstacle to meditation. If one practice until he attain this intermediate level, he will have no more 5 hindrances in his mind, and his mind become totally still at one single point, and thus stop his mind from further movement, and therefore settle his mind continuous peace until you become unite at the center of his body, exhibiting only purity, radiance, brightness, and giving the rise simultaneously to encouragement, moral wisdom, and happiness. In other words, if the mind becomes totally still and focused, purity, radiance, brightness will arise in the mind, make himself become become moral person, wisdom, and happy by automatically. This is just only intermediate. But further than that, if one practice further, it would lead one to gain absorption. This is absorption. Sometimes you talking about this not like absorbing water and sponge or something like that. It's meant by the absorptions are states of the refinements of the mind, where meditation is well established. In other words, when the mind becomes still and well founded, it would become purified, and thus enter into higher purity, and thus absorb in form higher into various form of absorption or jhana. This is intermediate level. If I explain further than that, it will take longer, but I'm sure if you're interested, we can talk about that sometime other time. But so therefore, go to the higher level of fruit of the monkhood. He will attain such special power when his mind become advanced in absorption, like insight knowledge, mental power, miraculous power, angelic ear. Kind of like you become Superman, you can call that. But maybe even better because the mind are so pure. Mind reading. It's even better than Superman can read the mind too. But these 3.6, 7, and 8 are those who are enlightened to get to the form of enlightened state. Recollect of one's previous existence. Recollections of other previous existence. These are superpower already, but the best one is knowledge of ending defilements of the mind, thus become enlightened completely, like the Buddha. Therefore, these are the higher benefit of become a monk. Understand on this path, King Ajatasattu realized that, practice like this will make one free from suffering. Understand on this path. He also really understand that if one want to be free and gain the higher fruit, must practice this according of this practice. Restraint according to the monastic code, right? Livelihood, not killing, not making living by hurting other suffering. Practice your self-discipline. The strength of the saints, so that way your mind doesn't disturb by hindrance. Your mind become peaceful and self-possession. You get under control of your own mind. You feel contentment and happy at all times through the practice of your meditation. And that's as it is, everyone. Thus, understand this fact. This showing that the reason that the 6 teachers that mentioned earlier, they could not give such answer because they did not know the reason for ordaining. They don't even know why they ordained, as you can see on the background. They did not even know the foundation of virtue of a monk. In other words, they don't even know what the good monk is like. What are the qualifications? What is the foundation? And they did not know even the fundamental practice of the monk, so they never know the benefit of meditation or of ordination. Thus, everyone, the monastic benefit, if one interest, are open to all. Buddhism is a teaching based on the cause and effect. The result of his own earnest effort and striving in accordance with the Buddhist proverb, you shall reap whatever you sow. So everyone, these are the conclusion of our fruit of monkhood that I mentioned. As you can see in here, understand on this path, you will see now that meditation has also many benefits aside from your quality of the mind, healthy mind. It can so free yourself from suffering too, if you are giving it a chance to practice. Some of you may have already discovered something, experience in there. That's therefore, why not waste our time? Let's meditate for a short while, not too long like normally we do, because it's quite late and I don't want to go to sleep without meditation with me tonight. So check yourself three things before we start. Number one, check and make sure your mobile phone is in silent. Number two, check and make sure toilet is quite a long time, and you have if you have to use toilet, you don't want to go during the meditation, right? And three, make sure the room you are meditating with me is peaceful, suitable for your meditation. All right, everyone. If you are set, let us begin our inner peace time. So let's finding yourself sitting in a right and comfortable position and relax your whole body. Check and see whether there is any tension. Begin by close your eyes softly and gently, feeling as if you are taking a break. Begin to relax from the top of your head down to forehead, eyebrows and eyelids. Clear all the thought in your head. Make yourself feeling light and comfortable. Continue to relax down to the neck and shoulder, back, body, arms, forearms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Relax your abdomen to allow yourself breathing more freely and easily. And once you are done adjusting the body, continue to adjust the mind. Empty the mind and imagine that yourself somewhere in a place that you like to be, like in your own favorite place, like on top of a mountain, somewhere in the ocean, near the beach, feeling free and calm, very pleasant, without anything to disturb or bother you. Somewhere like it is your own garden without anyone in this world. As body and mind become one through relaxation, feeling content of where you are, Then allow your mind coming back to yourself softly, right around your abdomen or any point inside where you're familiar, and rest your mind there gently, and use your feeling to observe. Continue to feel that your mind, your focus is right there, while stay relaxed, both body and mind. Allow the mind to rest as well as your body as you continue. But should your mind begin to wander or losing focus, you may lightly imagine the sun. At the same time, recite the mantra both together or just either one to help you calm down and free your mind from the thought. As you continue on your own, adapt your method to help you focus. Sometimes to visualize an object like the sun or recite the mantra. But if you become still and content, just remain still and aware of yourself peacefully. Do whichever way that make body and mind become still and focus inside. Let us take a few moments of our time until the appropriate time. Take a deep breath. Slowly breathing out and allow the mind to continue staying inside so we can be mindful in everything you do. And tonight, have a good rest, ready to start your new day tomorrow. Then slowly and gently open your eyes. Sappha Putthanuภาเวนะ Sappha Dhammanuภาเวนะ Sappha Saṅghānuภาเวนะ Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. May you all be with inner peace. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoy your time with me tonight. It's quite getting late, so I'm gonna go very quick. I hope you enjoy your time and it wasn't too long for you. If you are experiencing if you experience relaxation, leave the comment as one. If you experience time fly by fast, we meditate about 20 minutes, actually 18 minutes to be exact. Leave the comment as 2. If you experience brightness and joy, don't want to open your eyes, leave the comment as 3. Well, it wasn't much, but I hope you at least got what I say and enjoy your time with me tonight. We will continue again next Inner Peace Sunday next week. However, if you are interested to join me meditation for tomorrow and Wednesday, also open for you too in other program called Inner Peace Nighttime. All right. Miss Dear, thank you. Well, how was the topic today? Is it too much for you, or are you understand any of this, or you enjoy it at least? Mr. Simon too. Wow, that's unexpected. Well, I'll see you again tomorrow, Mr. Simon. Hope you enjoy your meditation with me this night. It wasn't that long, but I think you get a good start. So don't forget to do it again, everyone, before you go to bed. All right. Well, that's quite refreshing to hear that from you, Miss Tier. All right. Okay. Well, if there is no one else, I'm just gonna call off the night because it's getting late. It's almost 9:30, which is about 20 minutes overdue of our usual time. And I hope you have a good night. See you again next time, everyone.